game number 4, so we'll have to see if SFU is going to correct some of those errors. Top lane Kale, while it was a big split pushing threat and a big threat of damage, was not the key that they needed, and the Cassiopeia in the mid lane just really didn't hit the mark for
Essentially,
Demnis.
Kale is the top lane. It's a mage form of Tryndamere. So if you're going to flame somebody from picking Trynd, you're flaming them for picking Kale as well.
But we already see the Syndra ban coming out once again from UBC. They know that Demnis, that was his one, not necessarily one trick, but that was the one thing he felt most comfortable on. They're eliminating that. The Elise taken away from Talk Play Love, his most played jungler. Rise and Victor bans coming across for now the 4th game in the row at KT Smurf, and a Zac ban targeted at Talk Play Love. When that was available last game, they did not go for it.
It's a very odd ban. I think that what they're recognizing here is that both teams are really taking just a 5-on-5 approach. Who can draft a better 5-on-5 composition, and they have just recognized Zac as being one of those guys that in a 5v5 scenario, you can't really disagree that Zac is one of the best junglers to have.
And they let the Olaf through last game. While Talk Play Love did have a decent scoreline on the champion, it was not the same impact he had with the Zac. It was not the same impact that we've seen from the Rek'Sai in this series, actually coming out from Kaza. And that means that Olaf and Lee Sin are left available as Hecarim is the final ban, but we're seeing UBC put priority on the Orianna.
On the Orianna, he was able to get the solo kill, so the answer that was first presented to KT Smurf in the Cassiopeia definitely did not measure up. So now they have to look somewhere else. Most likely no Cassiopeia this time around. I wonder what he's going to take, but immediately SFU says, we don't care. We want to secure ourselves the stronger bottom lane here, and they go with Caitlyn and Zyra. With Caitlyn earlier was banned in the series as she is one of the most crutch-like AD carries, as you can put her in any disfavorable matchup and usually you come out ahead.
Yeah, the Caitlyn was banned away by the side of UBC, I believe it was, in game number 3, which led to the Ezreal versus Twitch matchup that we wound up seeing.
I believe it was SFU,
SFU
on
banned it away,
blue
yes.
side that banned it as a final ban.
But it was the fact that now that Caitlyn has been left open, they go with the Caitlyn Zyra lane. This is the lane matchup they had in game number 1, and that was the game that they won with under 30 minutes.
Yeah, like this lane can really take a whole lot of abuse and still come out ahead because of their ability to push and harass. They can quickly turn what is 1 or 2 ways of disfavorable positions into just a complete taking down the turret, making sure that you get that first break, and we've seen how effective the Caitlyn taking first break can be, as it was apparent in game 1.
Well, now we're going to have to see what the response is going to be. Last time we had the Rek'Sai, was a fairly decent ball delivery system. The Olaf, which has been left open at this point, another really good option for the ball delivery system. In addition to the potential Karma pickup here, we've seen Karma Zyra kind of be traded back and forth as the go-to supports in this best of 5. Now that they have the Orianna ball, they have the Inspire shield for the speed up, they have the Olaf that's going to be ghosting in. It's a lot of threat just running at SFU.
It's a great combination already. When you have Olaf and Karma, you want to have that speed up, make sure that you can get in as quickly as possible, shield him so that he's not as vulnerable on the way in or on the way out. And it's really fun to watch, especially if Olaf is capable of snowballing. But what you want to couple this now is with a little bit more CC from the top side, a little bit more engaged, the Nautilus, the Gnar, the Echo, the Poppies, that kind of picks top side. And then your AD carry, I mean, you can play whatever you want here. It's up to you how you want to really flavor your composition. You can have the Ashe for more engaged, the Ezreal for a little bit more peel and mobility damage kind of thing, or you have the Jhin for a bit more aggressive, executive engage. But the Nautilus and Graves locked right away. Wow.
Well, Talk Play Love did mention that he likes to play the very straightforward, I'm a 1v5 carry jungler
Graves
style.
is a straight shooter for sure.
Yeah, Graves is definitely a very
Actually, he's not a straight shooter.
Well,
he shoots in all different directions of the shotgun.
Well, yeah, the shotgun, he himself aims straight, but the shotgun itself covers all bases in case he misses. His aim may not always be true, but he is still a very carry-centric jungler. But this is something else then. They bring the Nautilus back in. They say, all right, Goldrick's going to play Nautilus in the top lane. We have that big tanky front line. But they don't have the double tanks anymore. They go for the Graves. That's another source of damage that's going to come out there.
But at least the combination makes sense with top and jungle. Graves and Nautilus together can really take down anybody because you know exactly where the ultimate's knocking them up. You know the dredge line, how that works. Graves can utilize his own end of the line very effectively to maximize the damage there. And if you couple that with a smoke screen, I mean, you're sitting at somebody that just got knocked up from a Nautilus ultimate on top of a smoke screen. That's a death wish.
Yeah. Well, it does look like that the Maokai is going to be picked up, so there is a form of crowd control available.
Of course, La Maokai duty. it's the same story every time. If somebody's not doing well, I will stick by this until he gets buffed and he becomes completely overpowered. But if you're just not holding your own, you can always play Maokai and you will always be relevant. We saw him drop down about 300 CS that last game. Still as crisp as ever, doing everything that Maokai needs to do, and you did it very well. And now please do not pick Kale again.
Yeah, don't think they're going to pick and Kale, although Lulu is a more likely hover, as is the Lux. Both of those are champions that Demnist actually does frequently play. But now we also have the Ezreal being picked up, the last one from the side of UBC. This is the matchup now that we've seen on the other foot. We've seen the Ezreal kind of toss back and forth. We've seen a Caitlyn toss back and forth. It looks like they're going to be the Ezreal from the side of UBC. That's going to be their main damage source here. Just Orianna and Ezreal. Not the same straight front-loaded damage that they had last game, but still, this is now more about the positioning. We mentioned Karma Shield, Olaf positioning going to be very important. The damage coming from the backline, also, their positioning is going to be very, very key.
Exactly. It's all about the positioning here. Ezreal, you pick him because he's very capable of handling Graves on his own. Be it a Trinity Force build, you escape by your sheer mobility, or Frozen Fist, you're a little bit tankier, you can keep him at bay. Same with the Nautilus. You go over walls, you make sure that you don't get hit by that dredge line immediately after getting ultied. And it's just a pick to a very good response for what SFU had assembled. So I like the pick, and it's a similar approach to what UBC took the previous game. You know you can stall out the game. You know that your champions, while they might not be as incredible in terms of damage in the late game scaling, late game crowd control is incredibly important. And if you can avoid the crowd control from SFU, they will be in a better position of team fight.
Yeah, SFU actually wound up having a Lux pick coming in as the last one here. So they have the Caitlyn, they have the Lux, they have the Zyra. There's a lot of you can't get into us, but they do have the side of Karma and Olaf. And Olaf just kind of says, well, yes, I can.
Well, the Olaf with the Karma and the Orianna is like a yes, I can, and I have an army behind me kind of thing. So he can really go ham, and I really want to see them punish that Lux, though. A Lux pick against Orianna, the second that ball is in range, you can combo that with Olaf. She's so squishy, you really just have a lot of dive opportunity that I want to see these teams exploit.
Well, the good news for you, Crumbs, is we're going to get to see them go onto the Rift in just a couple of seconds here. Game number 4 is going to be getting underway. It's currently 2-1. In favor of SFU, who are starting on the red side this time. UBC looking to see if they can tie it up with another solid Orianna performance from KT Smurf in the mid lane. Try to make this a 2-2.
And he's switching up the skin, going with the flower on his ball instead. Really nice aesthetic choice there, but I think that he'll have a very...
synergizes with the Maokai.
Of course.
And the Zyra. Oh, they don't have Zyra this game.
Oh, I forget the name of that one.
Which one?
The crazy cat Maokai.
La Maokai?
Is that really?
The Meowkai.
Meowkai, that's the name, right. Meowkai.
It's a little bit different, but now Orianna providing some catnip for the Meowkai. Which would be great because that'll attract the ball closer into him, so if they need him to lock up a key priority target, those two crowd controls will go hand in hand with another.
It really does. If you can pull off one of those combinations, then you can wipe out an entire team. It goes without saying that a wombo combo is a game-breaking move.
We'll see if there's any wombo combos to be pulled off in this game. As we did mention, SFU playing a very long range, very keep away kind of composition.
I'm a little disheartened by them, though, unfortunately, just because in a best of 5, you always stick to if something worked, you keep trying it. There's really not a whole lot of reasons for you to flex your muscles and say, oh yeah, we can beat you with that comp, we can beat you with this other comp, check out this other comp, we've been working on it for years, like, ugh, right? You don't want to have to do that. You just win. If you can win with one punch, you just keep doing that over and over.
We see 735 just trying to get some advantages by stepping on those plants that Zyra's going to be spawning in lane. And Mantra-empowered Q does get some trade back onto the Matic. And this is going to be a little bit of an interesting thing now to see where these lane phases play out. The Caitlyn lane has had advantages in almost every single game of this best of 5 that she has actually been played in, but the thing is the effect hasn't necessarily been as good. When SFU used it in game 1, they ran away with it. When they took it on the side of UBC in game 2, it was heavily punished.
And I feel like these lanes in bottom in particular are having a difficult time transitioning to more than just laning and just moving across the map. I don't really see them adding that much value to the team fights as opposed to their counterparts in mid or top, and they're mostly there to serve purpose for getting that first break, to make sure that they're holding down the fort and getting that deep vision. So I think that any focus onto the bottom lane will have to just stay within laning phase and not too much out of it, at least from what we've seen so far. And it's exemplified by Talk Plays Love route, which is of power farming and all about hitting that quick level 3 camps and going straight for the gank. And he might be going for either an invade onto the Olaf or a gank onto mid.
Well, we'll have to see here. The invade onto Olaf has been kind of his go-to strategy. The invade onto Kaza in general has been his go-to strategy in most of the games of this series. And it does look like that Kaza has been able to secure his own red buff, has kind of sniffed this one out. So the harassment is going to be a little bit minimal this game, but still Talk Play Love knowing that he's the one that makes the things happen in the early game. That's why UBC was saying before this best of 5 even started, we can't let him get away with it.
Exactly. He's fine with doing this move, even though mid lane was pushed up, only because their bottom lane was safe, only because Graves has the ability to dash over the wall and really not get picked off, knowing the routes that Olaf had. And it's that experience. It's that knowing that if you played Olaf enough, you know exactly what route he's starting in, what route he's finishing in certain times, and that allows you to carve your path to be in the tiny nooks and crannies that the other guys creates.
Ooh, look at this. Goldjet's actually coming down from the top lane as well. So Talk Play Love looking for that mid lane gank. KT Smurf, he's going to run directly at him. He knows that he has Kaza on that side of the map, so he is going to wind up ghosting away. Now it's going to be Graves that has to get out of here. Flashway is CJ actually joined the fray with a teleport, and First Blood's going to go over to that Meowkai. Goldjet now has to just try to just sway with the Riptide, and that's a turnaround from UBC.
What a great TP from CJ, recognizing that they were going to overcommit for that gank, and immediately jumps onto Talk Play Love, kills him off, and as a reward for his services, he gets double buffs and gets to go back to lane. And unfortunately, it is pushing, so Nautilus will be able to claim that entire wave without having to deal with the blue buff harass. But, that is so much damage.
That's the damage coming from the Caitlyn. The heal and the clutch exhaust coming out just the last second there. 735 is able to stay alive.
And just when we think things are going one way for UBC, they immediately go the other in the other parts of the map, and that's what's keeping this matchup that exciting.
Yep. Both of these characters here in the bottom lane, the Caitlyn and the Ezreal, have been kind of pivotal key components to compositions that both of these teams have been able to craft. Like you mentioned, a little bit of trouble transitioning out of kind of the lane phase and the tower pushing phase, specifically these Caitlyn pickups, but we'll have to see how they impact the later game, as right now it's all about Talk Play Love. He knows his double buffs are up on that top side, wants him back, but he gets a flash.
He wants revenge, and that revenge is not going to net anything, as Graves will show up topside, and that should give UBC enough information for the next couple of minutes to know exactly where Graves is going to be, even though he's not one of the most effective ganking junglers. Knowing where he is will at least allow the team to know what his intentions are and kind of the play style that Graves will have. And that lets the laners play with a lot more confidence if they know that if he's planning on counter jungling, you have to look out for ganks from behind. If he's trying to just power farm, the ganks are going to be coming from very obvious locations, as you don't want to be wasting time looking for ways to bypass wards.
Well, the biggest thing that kill early on, that First Blood has gotten for the side of UBC, is a death on the Talk Play Love. For most of the early games, he has gone deathless. He even had that game on Zac where he only died one time. That was towards the end of the actual game when they were trying to break the base and go for this game-ending team fight. So now that he is kind of behind tempo against Kaza, that's going to be something that UBC has not actually been able to do so far in this series.
Especially when he's playing a character that has no opportunities of creating anything for himself. He's going to immediately just get jumped on by the Olaf, and I think that he could have pursued that. I would have wanted him to do this, though.
You saw the Zyra kind of motioning up from the bottom side, and even though he had the support of KT Smurf, he did not want to bite off more than he could chew, and instead decided to just turn his sights over to this Gromp. The rest of the side of UBC, both the AD carry support and mid laner, motioning towards this area of the map just to make sure Kaza gets this.
The only reason I feel like that could have been a good reason to engage is because he just had seen Graves use his dash, so dash being down, no other tools of escaping might have given him a window to engage onto that. Even though the TP was available, Maokai was in a position to cancel it. But overall, it still nets them the information that they need to work with in terms of getting the vision control, and they're able to just get one lonely ward into the opposite of the wolf camp on the blue side for SFU.
So continued advantages now for UBC's jungle part of the map. This is the part where they haven't really been able to get those advantages early on. You mentioned earlier the vision control now being down on the side for both teams. This blue buff area is looking heavily contested. They are continuing to push out now on the side of UBC. Decent amount of poke damage is coming down onto Ezreal, but now we need to see. They have vision control over here. Neither jungler is really kind of in the position for this, but where do they go for this next play? This is kind of the most passive lane phase we've seen so far. It feels kind of weird to say that since we had like a 3 or 4 minute first blood and an early tower play, but every single game so far, about the 7 to 7.5 minute mark, has been when first brick has happened. Neither of those teams have even gotten close to that yet.
You would think that they wanted to make a move for the blue buff because they went toward it, but you see Graves going into it right now. He's just handing off, and they only have the vision. And Olaf is basing and not handing off his own blue. So I think that these teams are merely just content with dragging this game out. While there are certain opportunities that they can both take to create pressure on the map. You have Lux if she hits a binding onto the Orianna that could net a kill. Similarly, Orianna if she lands a shockwave onto the Lux, with Olaf being able to really chase her down, might net another possibility for pressure. But just because they have, on one hand, 2 AD carries and a very late game scaling mage, and on the side of UBC you have Orianna, which just is a goddess of the late game. I think that these teams are very comfortable just not making anything happen and just waiting for their opponent to make a mistake and capitalize on it.
Talk Play Love going to wind up walking into an Olaf there. Olaf does make his presence felt in the mid lane, throws an axe after Talk Play Love, making sure he doesn't get anything else going down. Actually, KT Smurf used his Ghost right there, wanted to get a little bit more aggressive, but Jungler was not on the same page for commitment there.
Immediately gets binded and says, nope, this Ghost will not go anywhere. It's nothing but science fiction. And so Olaf clearing out the vision to the bottom side, making sure that the control wards are not being used effectively. And if they can take over the vision of the blue side and create windows for Orianna to simply feign pressure down there, will allow the bottom lane for UBC to stay relevant and not be in the 12 CS deficit that they currently sit in.
And while that deficit is there in the bottom lane for UBC, advantages in every other aspect of the map. 84 to 64, 20 CS advantage for the mid lane matchup. There's a 14 CS advantage in the jungle. And actually, surprisingly, I think this may be one of the first times in this series we've seen this. CJ has a lead over his opponent in Goldjet, as now some motions down the bot lane here. Two-shot barrage comes out. JJL is going to wind up staying alive, and 734 takes a lot of punishment for his aggression in the bot lane.
And I think the advantage of CJ just comes from that double buff. He is going to be ganked here, but I don't think it'll net much. He is very tanky. He could try to turn this.
He has a lot of damage on the Talk Play Love, but he is a little bit low on mana right now. It does wind up throwing the sapling out. There's no ultimates available from either side here. Goldjet already wound up using. Oh, the flash back in from CJ. He goes in the Talk Play Love. CJ with the outplay.
Styled on.
He is going to fall for his transgressions, but that is a 1-for-1 trade.
Oh, that tree does not like it when you look at him like that.
No, you won't like him when he's angry.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. He knows that he's so strong that he can just turn it around and utilize his passive. He knows that the strength of the Colossal makes him that much beefier with that extra little shield when you hit those roots. And really well played from CJ there, turning that gank around, especially because it burned the summoner from Talk Play Love, wasting the jungler's time so much. And that allows Kaza to take advantage of that time and counter jungle and counter vision. And you see those wars into the blue side, and you see it now with a 20 CS lead and what is a level advantage in the jungle.
There was a dredge line, collateral damage, but in the end, the tree survived almost all of it in just enough time to wind up trading those kills back. And this is Talk Play Love in an interesting position. He was ahead in the other games. We talked about already. He was able to invade. He was able to make things happen. Now he's playing from behind. He's still trying to invade. He's still trying to make things happen. But now he's feeding gold over to his opposing lanes because he's just not strong enough to do it.
Now it's counterproductive. Well, I think it's a matter of, again, the champion that he's playing has a difficult time in really creating opportunities if he's not ahead or even. And so Graves now is in a position where he knows that if he goes top, he probably can't kill Maokai anymore. He knows that if he goes middle, Orianna can actually do the same thing, not just to him, but to Lux and bottom lane in a position that they're shoved in nonstop, and the lead is kind of dwindling away. So he probably just
Ooh,
Jesus.
That feels
73,
really bad.
you throw him the smoke. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Oh. All right, now he's tilted. See, because he was walking back. He's walking back, and he knows, all right, I lost the Scuttle Crab. I need to go back to the jungle and farm. But then he makes a gesture. Zara immediately just gets picked up.
JJL was up a little bit too far. Kaza actually was just charging down the river there. As the Ragnarok pop, wants to maybe go for Pneumatic, but the Pneumatic is going to back away from this one. But yeah, over-aggression now, coming up from multiple members of SFU, is really starting to cost him this early game. As now Demnis doesn't even want to get aggressive, gets sucked back in by the command Shockwave, has to burn his own goods.
And what this could be is the beginning of UBC taking the blue buff and taking this tier 1. While they're going to try to push this down with the next wave, they should not have to tank this. They should be able to use this 4-man pressure into the bottom lane, the pressure that mid lane has with that chunk of blowing Shockwave, to steal the blue buff. And if they can control both blue buffs here, the amount of pressure that Orianna will have on mid lane should be enough for UBC to walk away from the mid game and early game with a very nice lead.
Want to see if they are able to actually give that second blue buff over to Ezreal as well, or if they're just content with the steal in general. It is going to wind up being Olaf that smites that one down, but the roots and the binding coming out there from Demnis and JJL. But KT Smurf says, oh, you're missing this because you're not playing Syndra. Take a ball to the face, and he winds up going down.
Balls to the face for everyone involved here. And Gold is going to try to engage onto KT Smurf, but he's caught out by himself. He doesn't realize he's on the tail end of a 1v4. If Maokai chooses to kill him, he will die. Grazer will drop as well, but CJ still resilient with the Karma Shield.
Yeah, the Vengeful Maelstrom just continuing to chunk away, just absorb that damage, turn it back down onto SFU. Looks like a flash there. 734 actually can get the root down to 735, says, and one more kill going over to the side of UBC. Now Pneumatic gets rooted up as well, and that is just a delayed ace across the map for UBC.
It's a total of 8-1 with a 5k gold lead at 14 minutes. They took the tier 1 bottom. They took the dragon. Well, they haven't taken the dragon, but they will. They will take the blue buff as well, and now the tier 1 to the mid lane. Everything looks to be going UBC's way, and frankly, I feel like if they just stick to this approach of grouping up when they know that they are strong, when the spikes are there, everything goes their way.
And one last auto attack there from KT Smurf. Actually, he gets aggressive here. Command Shockwave on the Demnis, as well as the empowered monster Q here. 734 has to run away from the collateral damage. KT Smurf gets out! He flashes and does pick up the kill on Demnis, despite taking a lot of damage himself.
The shields are so obnoxious. You keep getting baited back and forth. Karma and Orianna just helping each other move in and out of the fight, and by in turn helping their allies play the fight so well. That's what allowed them to really scrape by in those previous engagements and come up with the lead that they currently have of 6.5k. We'll likely see them now transition to what we've seen so far in the series. Send the duel in back to the top side, defend your current turret, as well as look for the next objective to take. And if they keep doing that, accelerating the game and slowing down the resources for SFU, this game should be one books for UBC.
3-0-4 on KT Smurf. 4-0-1 now on 735. This is what we thought the beginning of the day was going to happen. Those mismatches in the carrier roles. The two players that UBC thought they were going to get a lot of their advantages from. This is the first time we're really seeing them get those advantages this early and run away with them. But on top of those two players we expected this to happen with, CJ 2-1-4. His Maokai play in this game has probably been the best of his gameplay we've seen all series. That teleport early on to secure first blood and the turnaround in that gank.
I will absolutely give him credit for all those plays, even though Maokai is essentially, when you get delegated in your role, being able to perform in it is still another story. He's been laning fine after that TP choice. His itemization choices have been great, and just knowing that when you peel for your team, you stick by, and you use your CC only when somebody can follow up. You never really want to be caught out in a position where you're trying to tank 5 people without anybody behind you. He was also able to turn that kill into the top side, the gank from Talk Play and Goldjet onto him, turned it around. So really great performance here from CJ so far that I can't wait to see him interact more with his team and really see where he stands in playing as a team player Maokai.
So remember that that straight shooting thing? I don't think Ezreal has his True Shot Barrage calibrated correctly, although he does scout out the fountain, which is clearly everything they needed from that one.
I'm sure Tarek will be very pleased to hear that.
In addition to that, though, there looks like it could be a collapse on the KT Smurf in the mid lane. As UBC now, the ghost being popped by KT Smurf. He has a command Shockwave available. Doesn't even need it to just delete Talk Play Love. Now Denmis does get the binding down, but Orianna still has command Shockwave. Maokai goes in, groups up with the team, does get the Arcane Smash down, and now CJ and Kaza are in the backlines wreaking havoc. Kaza gets dropped extremely low. The Ragnarok's going to pop off. The Undertow comes out, and Goldjet will take him down. Now CJ, a little bit low on mana, does decide to go back in with the Twisted Advance.
There's still Oriole.
Goldjet. in comes the rest of UBC. They're just going behind the tier 2 tower. They don't even care that it's there. Goldjet drops extremely low, and one last Mystic shot will not secure the kill.
And UBC just has completely gone off the rails in this game. 12-2, an over 8K gold lead this early on. Just turrets left, right, and center. They're really poised. I mean, they should be able to even take down a 20-minute Baron with relative ease now.
Well, it's all clearly from the pep talk that Bobkin gave them in the interview with Travis of saying it's going to take mess up from SFU because they look really good. That was all the motivation that UBC needed, I guess.
Well, speaking of things looking really good, we might... we might need Travis to iron his shirt a little bit better next time.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to give him a compliment there.
No.
But that is the back of the hand,
That's too
not
mean.
the front.
He held back, and I just kept going for it.
Wow. No. Savage. Just no chill, Crumbs. I thought you went to Canada to chill out for a little bit, but you came back as fiery as ever.
I came back fire. Yep, exactly it.
Well, we'll see if SFU is going to be able to come back into this one fiery as ever, as they are currently down 12-2 kills, and it is a significant gold advantage now, cresting about 34,000 to 26.5 in favor of UBC. Like you said, they've run off the rails in this one. They're completely running away with this game in pretty much every single aspect, and SFU has shown really good team coordination in the previous 3 games of this series. Hasn't really been there, and a lot of it, like you said, it stems from Talk Play Love just being not as effective as Kaza is here, actually burning the flash and the heal from the Matic here. But Talk Play Love, we talked to SFU guys. They said, this is the guy we need to get going. UBC wanted to shut him down. This is the first time we've seen UBC shut him down, and UBC's just running wild.
And I really feel like they're shutting down this in part due to themselves and picking compositions that just do not play this. Sorry.
Well,
that play the same way.
Yeah, it actually looks like they're trying to get something done here, but the command shockwave in the brush there is going to get Talk Play Love down to half. Goldjet actually gets pulled out to the front because of that as well. Lux just going to have to play zoning duties right now. Does want to get a catch on the 734, but barely any HP loss there as the Karma Inspire Shield just absorbs all of that. At the same time, CJ is on split push duty.
The shield and that locket, I mean, and Maokai on split pushing duty, being able to take down the concrete of the tier 3 turret, and he's just doing work because Nautilus does not have TP, so he has to answer and stay down there. So everything he was doing top is nothing more than an excursion. Orianna, now that she's pushed mid lane, can easily roam to the top side, and if UBC play their cards right, they should be able to take down a tier 1 here. Olaf coming in from the try.
Yeah, and actually there was no teleport available on Maokai either, so both of them may not be able to join up in this fight, but still with Nautilus in that top lane before, a 4v5 situation did go in favor of UBC. That just speaks volumes to how far ahead they are in this game, and it's now only the 20-minute mark. Baron just became available. They're still threatening on that top side of the map. They're still pushing down for that outer tower, and they're going into the enemy jungle. They're invading the red buff. They're trying to put down a little bit of vision control, but there's a little bit of slack going down in the bottom.
And this just helps UBC by keeping the map in 2 small areas, be it top side and bottom. The amount of resources that are being funneled to both teams decreases, and by decreasing that, you're able to maintain that percentage of gold over your opponent to be at a relatively high number, and that means that you're going to be that much stronger for longer. So if they do this and play it well, they should be able to extend their aggression over SFU for just long enough for this gold lead to essentially end the game quite quickly at most likely under 30 minutes.
Well, now you're talking percentages and economic advantages. I thought you were the one to shush the stats before.
Oh, I'm all over the place in stats and not stats and faith and no faith. It all makes sense.
All right, well, we'll have to see what UBC is going to make of this next push, as it looks like with Olaf and Orianna grouping up towards the mid lane. There is no tier 2 tower available there. There is, however, only one tier 2 tower left on the map, and that is going to be in the top side, where they were just previously establishing some vision that it looks like SFU is going to be trying to clear out right now. A couple of control wards picked up, a couple of them already placed down in the area. They don't want Olaf being able to go all too deep. They don't want to have those flanking wards set up, because as soon as they know from the side of UBC that nobody is going to be coming in that area, they're going to pull that trigger now that Maokai's teleport is available. Nautilus still has a couple seconds left on it.
Exactly. Once they know that Maokai is on his way from flanking behind, when you're Lux and you have Maokai as a threat towards you, it is just so difficult because you cannot kill him. He can just dodge most of your abilities and mitigate the damage that you do to a team. Altogether, it becomes very much a priority that you have to keep all your wards behind. And that's why you see those triple pink wards in the red side from SFU really far back to make sure that there is no window for Maokai to sneak up from behind.
Pull-out Drake going to be secured here by UBC. Will give him a little bit of extra out-of-combat movement speeds. We'll have to see if these rotations between the top lane that looks like it may be pushing ever so slightly in their favor, and the mid lane where they are pressuring. If that is the choice to go to get that last outer tower, they can meet that. If CJ gets a good push onto this bottom lane, they can join up with him relatively quickly. And it looks like that after the Dragon, that's where they're going to pressure down. They know that they have the other two lanes pushing. It's time to threaten something major like this inhibitor tower.
And they're going for the turret that Maokai has been so diligent in getting low, although unfortunately by adding more members to this equation, the wave clear from SFU increases. And so you have less windows and less time for you to be hitting the turret. So while there might be more members, the time that you can actually hit it safely decreases exponentially. And so I doubt that this push will result in much, as they're retreating away from the wave now.
Well, the tower, like you said, chunked extremely low by a very diligent Maokai pickup, who's been doing very, very good things this game here from the side of CJ.
Oh,
Lux actually gets a binding down to Ezreal. A lot of damage comes out, but he is barely going to stay alive.
Oh,
the command protect at the last second keeps him alive through the ace in the hole and the burst damage. That's a catch on the Ezreal that stops the push, but no kills.
And that's exactly why bringing the entire crew down to that bot lane turret does not allow you to get the turret down. It was only able to get that low because Maokai had some alone time with it. If you include everybody, it's not going to happen. You're just blocking it, for lack of a better word. And so what we need to see again is that four-man approach from UBC, going to the top side, going to mid, pressuring that area, and letting Maokai do the work down there, although it's very likely that the Sunfire will not allow him to get more damage.
It does look like we wind up having a pause in this game as well, so we'll have to figure out what's going on with that. But SFU in this game are looking to be on the back foot. I mean, they've gotten their bottom lane inhibitor tower threatened. We've already talked about the threat that comes out from the five-man group from the side of UBC. We've already talked about the potential for the flanks coming out. CJ has proven to be a big, big threat in this one. He's not the same guy that was playing the Maokai last game, 300 CS down. He's relatively even in CS at this point and has a decent amount of kills and assists on him. He's a big frontline tank, and UBC is playing around this extremely well. Now they have the two frontline tanks.
He's been doing really well. The teleport usage, and as we see here, he's sitting into the bottom line earlier. He just recalled, and we're most likely going to see him poised to be going top? Huh.
It looks like that now that there's a push kind of on the side of SFU, they already realized that they can threaten to push that bottom lane with multiple members, and that the Maokai potentially will have to go towards the top lane to push it out, but that does kind of lead the question of, I guess they don't necessarily need to go for Baron.
Yeah, right, that's really the thing that I was hoping for they would do, is go towards Baron, just because Caitlyn, Lux, and Graves is such an obscene amount of wave clear that if you don't pressure anywhere else in the map, they really have no problem clearing the waves forever and stalling you out. So by putting everybody on this top side means that either they're willing to force out this Baron with Maokai right there as a better tool for tanking, or that they have no intentions of doing Baron. It seems like they're just there to start the Baron right away by clearing the vision together and making sure that they really put their foot down into what SFU is trying to do.
In Champions, like we mentioned also, where is the crowd control going to come from? Now that the Maokai is there, if SFU step into the wrong brush around Baron buff, they could just wind up being twisted, advanced, and collapsed on. Once you get one target, there's a lot of follow-up damage here.
You never want to be that guy that face checks, and luckily they do have plenty of tools to check with Zyra plants, with Caitlyn traps, with Lux spells, with Graves smoke screen to chuck out at areas to see if anybody walks away. So they definitely aren't having any issues with walking into the jungle, but it's defending the movements that UBC throws from two different lanes that makes things harder for SFU because of their lack of mobility and because of how squishy their picks are in the sense of getting caught.
Well, they're the ones that are looking to do some catching now as they're trying to dissuade UBC from taking this top lane tower, but with the forward pressure, with everybody still on that top side of the map, UBC will eventually brute force down the final remaining outer tower from the side of SFU.
And that turret will just allow them to gain full control over this red side jungle. We saw Orianna earlier pushing down middle, and when you push those two lanes, you can safely retreat into the red side jungle and leave a trail of wards. And you see that trail really almost touching the red base of SFU, and now they're going to try to jump onto Demis. He's going to be able to just shield away, but that nice little bit of chunk might not allow them to. Oh,
Ooh, KT Smurf gets saved by the heal. Last time around, it was his Command Protect saving 735's butt. This time around, it's 735 using the heal. But that means that this is going to be a signal for SFU to go in. There's no more heal. The Undertow was out, and Ezreal gets shut down. Now the turnaround comes in here from UBC. CJ flashes forward. Vengeful Maelstrom gets popped, and he's able to pick up a kill on JJL. But he is going to be whittled down very slowly but surely. Demnis picks up a much-needed kill for SF.
and it all started from UBC being a little too cocky. 735 walking, shifting forward. Then you have Orianna keeping to the front line, understanding that there is no tank there and still walking forward. He gets her caught, and while she survived at the expense of the heal of Ezreal, she did keep the entire team there, and that allows SFU to have a small window back into this game. A couple more picks like this, and we might see a game be stalled out.
And one of the things that SFU does have on their side is a large amount of cooldown reduction. The Morellonomicon picked up for Lux is already 20%, plus whatever she's got in Runes and Masteries. We saw the first catch come out because of that final Spark catch combination. She just used it again. So we're getting to the point, Lux currently level 13, at level 16 and a little bit more CDR, that thing's going to be on like a 40-second cooldown, 45-second cooldown. The picks can just keep happening. As soon as Lux lands a Binding, Direct can land a Roots, we've seen that combination kind of come together. In addition to the Caitlyn Trap and the Nautilus on their side. There's a lot of pick potential there.
Yeah, we haven't even seen the full extent of creativity that SFU can have with this. You can have Nautilus start off with an ultimate and make sure that everybody follows up onto that final little spot where you know everybody's going to end up on. And if they just use that to get more picks, I think that SFU has a legitimate chance at really making sure that this game is still within their reach.
Well, it all starts from making sure that they're able to clear out these waves and keep the pressure off of their side of the map. Making sure that they can establish some more vision control in their side of the jungle to make sure if UBC is trying for those aggressive plays again, they're able to punish them for it. Once they get those aggressive plays out of the way, then they can start pushing for things on the side of UBC's map. But if that's the case, it's going to take a little bit longer. We're still 28.5 minutes into this game. We've had a lot of long games so far, though. A 40-minute game in just the previous one, a 56-minute game in game number 2.
No complaints there. We already see UBC, though, taking it true, understanding that this game might go a little bit later, and now they're getting that Mountain Dragon, but an engage onto Nemedic immediately.
Nemedic gets rooted up by the Twisted Advance here. CJ still has Vengeful Maelstrom on. His mana bar is dropping lower and lower. The Binding comes out from Lux. The final Spark comes across. KT Smurf gets chunked out. CJ continues to go forward. The Gold Jet's low. JJL is low. The Matic trying to heal back up on the back line. Shift in from Ezreal. Flash forward. That's 2 kills picked up all of a sudden from the side of UBC. Top Play Love trying to duel that with Ezreal. Has to wind up flashing away from him there. UBC is continuing the charges. Kaza is going forward. No one from their side has gone down yet, but KT Smurf will add to the body count of SFU. Make that a double as Lux goes down as well, and SFU lose 4.
And that's exactly what they wanted. They will now be able to take down the inhibitor of SFU and really crack down the base, which will let them in turn set up for Baron very easily and just completely be in a dominating position for this match.
And it looked like SFU was getting ready to contest a Dragon take by the side of UBC. They kind of sectioned off CJ, but he's just so tanky at this point. They weren't able to burn him down in time, and the rest of UBC continued to play aggressive, stuck towards it, and they took him down.
Every auto, he heals a huge chunk of his HP. He has that Spirit Visage to keep him alive further. And then you have Karma Shield. And then you have Orianna Shield to heal him even further. And they're just so fed. You got Fnatic brushed, and they face check even though they had retreated. You go in with the assumption that, okay, they already took everything. Surely they must base and get ready to close out the game. Baited, because all they wanted to do is kill you once more.
This pick may have been a Graves mistake from the side of Talk Play Love, as he has not been able to get the traction on his Graves pickup that he has been able to get on almost any other jungler in this series. So you like that, don't you?
I can't deny it.
Listen, it was a Graves mistake. He's been able to do some decent collateral damage to his own team this game by feeding away double buffs after the first blood.
If he keeps going at this rate, it certainly will be the end of the line for the SFU squad here.
I'm not going to continue that one. I'm going to keep it there, but I'm going to dash out of this. UBC on their side, however, they know that they've been able to establish that forward pressure. The super minion is now pushing. The super minion wave is now pushing in the middle side of the map. They're going to do what they've done so far, kind of like the past 5 minutes. Continue to get control of the enemy side of the jungle. Threaten the Baron take. If they see a catch, they know they have the tanky members to go for. If they can't get that, that means that the team is nowhere near to go for Baron. So we're going to have to see. It's going to be a little bit slow but ensured play, which is good to see from UBC because they have played a little bit too aggressive in some of these games.
Exactly, but luckily they have a 13K gold lead this time around. And I think that they're playing it very safe by just having Maokai stick with the team. You really don't need Maokai to be split pushing towards the Nautilus. If he's taking down a tier 1, you have such a large gold lead that you can use that as a buffer zone to increase the pressure that you have on the other sides of the map. And I think that's what they're doing, which is a wise choice. If you don't really feel comfortable by setting up the TP wards, by really making sure that everything is in order, you can bypass that completely and just have the Maokai go straight to the Baron. And they do just that. And now the defense of that push is going to be that much harder because you have a split pushing Maokai if he chooses to go bottom. Although it seems that they're doing the same plan that UBC did game 1. Group 5 and top.
We'll have to see if they wind up going through for that lane. The wave has been pushed up. Nautilus is meeting it there at the inhibitor tower. Bottom lane did not have a wave in favor of UBC, so this is the logical choice for them to go to, but now the Caitlyn trap line has been set up. There's a lot of pick potential, and they're going to have to just dance around, get some poke down, eat some of these Caitlyn traps, and try to just take as many pot shots at the tower as possible.
But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of mana left on the sides of Lux, and if she's to be spamming the wave as she needs to keep the wave clear, she will have to base. So she walks straight to the base now, and she's going to be, while healthy, not in a position to completely clear out this wave. And this could be the one where UBC actually gets enough damage onto the turret. Lux is already back, a little bit zoned off from the Maokai.
We do have some very nice Zyra plant spawns, which are also going to add and aid to the wave clear, as well as the chaos and confusion in those minion waves, and making them auto-attack the plant means not they're going to be taking the tower up. But now UBC still have a couple minions on their side, are going to be going in for this. The Stranglethorns came out, the final spark came across, they're focusing down on this tower, and CJ is absorbing all of the damage. The eventual Maelstrom is going to pop, but that's going to be Goldjet going down as well. Now Kaza's leading the charge on the front line. A flash forward from CJ, and the Arcane Smash picks up the kill. Oriana's in the back lane, taken down 2 for herself. That's 4 dead, and Demnis is running the wrong way in his base to try to end this one. A teleport tank from the super minion will mean that these Nexus towers are going down, and UBC, they're evening it up at 2-2 apiece.
What a great series so far, just 2 stories, and I think that what we need to have this be a fantastic game 5 is SFU draft what we saw them come out in game 1. If we see those 2 teams really go head